All right, friends. So good to see so many of your faces here. My name is Monica, and I will be your host for today's webinar. Today, we are going to dive into some different ways that you can use groups in your BNTouch platform. Some stuff I'll make super easy. Some stuff will get in the weeds a little bit, and you can stay on for some, all. And by all means, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to drop your questions in the chat, but please make sure that your camera, or I'm sorry, your screen is on mute. We know you guys get calls all the time. We just don't need to hear them while we are doing this call. So if you wouldn't mind making sure that your camera and what have you is on mute, and we will get started. So I am going to share my screen with you guys, and we are going to dive into some fun ways you can use your groups that will help improve your pull-through rates and some of your retention, all that good stuff. So for today, I'm assuming you guys can all see my screen. If you cannot, please let me know. But if you can see my screen here, this is my demo account. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some different ways that we can help with your pre-approvals, right? The market being kind of in this weird place for a few years at this point. Your rate watch people or your pre-approved and shopping pipeline might feel a little bit bigger than normal, right? So your sales cycle might be changing and you are trying to think of different ways to stay in touch with these folks. So to manage some of those leads, we do have a couple ideas to share with you guys. So first, I'm going to show you where you can create your groups because most people kind of go, I don't know where to do that, right? So you're going to click this little plus button, depending on if it's a group for a partner or a mortgage. You can alter it. You can do both. But you're going to act as if you're creating a new contact and click this plus button. And from here, you're going to click on Manage Groups. Okay, so I already have some that are built. Those of you who are admins, this is going to look a little different. Those of you who are loan officers, it will probably look like this. Okay, so down here at the bottom is where you can add in those different groups. Okay, so I'm just going to create a test one here for you so you can see how I do it. There's two steps, right? You add the group and then you tell the system once you've updated and added that group if I want this to be private to me or if I want to share it, and then who I want it to be for. So is this group going to be for clients? Is it going to be for partners, recruiting, or is it going to be for all? And once you have that, you hit update groups again, and you've created your first group. Congratulations, right? Now, the benefit of groups is that you can set some automations with them so that you can stay in front of your people. So for today, we're going to go through a couple of them. I'm going to start with your pre-approved folks, okay? So I'm going to come into my mortgage records here. And really the thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to go to create a campaign to add this rule. Now you can do it manually or you can automate it. And I'm going to show you how to automate it and I'll show you how to do it manually as well. So if you want to obviously add somebody automatically when they hit that pre-approval milestone, right? Assuming you have your LOS connected or integrated. If not, you can do it manually as well, which I again will show you. But if you want to have it set up automated, you're going to go to your marketing main menu. Remember, your main menu is across the top, and then you've got your submenus, okay? Once you come into your campaigns, you're going to hit Add Campaign. And for this, we're going to call this the pre-approve rule, okay? Now down here is where your guardrails are. And when you're doing rules, right, not necessarily on campaigns with content outgoing, you're going to want to remove as many guardrails as you can if you're not trying to keep people out of this campaign. Okay, so for your pre-approved rule, you're going to update it however it works for your particular platform. And then we're going to come into that campaign and I'm going to add a new step. Now, I'm not going to send an email. I'm not doing an SMS. I'm not adding a task. All I'm doing is I'm going to come over here and update this field. Okay. When you're updating a field, It doesn't matter who the step is for, it's always going to default, but for aesthetic reasons, I will make it self so nobody gets worried about that. And then I'm going to say update group to pre-approval. Don't need to put anything here. This defaults to group. So then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to find my pre-approved folks. Yes, I want this to happen automatically and I want it to happen on day one. Now, day one is today. Okay, so when you're building your campaigns, some systems 0 is today, some systems 1 is today. When you're building yours in BNTouch, you want 1 unless you are doing something different. And if you are, reach out to us, okay? So all I'm doing is adding that group to be added at pre-approval, okay? The next thing you're going to want to do is add in that trigger, okay? Now, I recommend for all my friends who are still learning the system to come in to your campaigns, find the campaign that you want to trigger on, which for us is the pre-approved rule. And we're going to come over to these right dots and we're going to go through the quick setup that's going to walk us through what we want here. So I would click my quick setup, hit confirm, and then it gives you all these fun options, right? So it's real easy to trigger some of these campaigns. And for this one, if you have the pre-approved milestone in here, you would select that pre-approved milestone. Now, some people just have these basic ones, so you wouldn't necessarily be able to automate it to that. But most of you, if I'm not mistaken, have a pre-approved milestone, and you would select that here and hit submit and continue. And now, every time somebody hits that pre-approved milestone, okay, they will be added to the group, pre-approved. Now you say, Monica, well, am I going to have to then remove it once it gets to closing? Now you can manually have that something that you do for yourself once it moves into processing, or, right, you can create another campaign or a rule for that particular group, okay? So if I come back into my pre-approved rule, or my campaign called pre-approved rule, right? I update my group to pre-approval. That's all that it does when it hits there. And you say, well, how can I make sure that that stops it? No problem. We're going to come to add campaign and we're going to create a remove pre-approval. Set my guardrails to what I want them to be. If you want anybody to not follow this rule, great. We're going to do the same thing, just in reverse. So I'm going to update my field, make it for me, remove group. And then in here, I can click the remove from group, okay? So then I would remove them from my, where's my pre-approved group? I just had it. There she is. So now I've created this whole other campaign, right, to remove the group. And we're going to do the same thing with our setup, okay? I'm going to find that campaign in here, that pre-approval remove group. There she is. And I'm going to come on over to the right and I'm going to do my quick setup. And for this, I'm going to go back into that processing stage and I want this to be removed when it's sent to processing, right? Because they're under contract now. So we can take them out of that group when they're sent to processing, okay? So as soon as you've got that good to go, you would click through the remaining prompts. Do you want it to be co-branded? No, this is just a rule. Do I want it for everybody and for existing group records? Yes, yes, I do. And then it will, that campaign is ready to go, okay? So that's how you can add folks, and then that's how you can remove it. Now, we can get fancy-pantsy, right? And this is, we're going to go in the weeds a little bit. Now, let's say that those pre-approved groups of people that you want to follow up with, you're putting them in a group so that you can find them, and then you're removing them once they move into processing, okay? You can make it so that also, when they're added to that pre-approval group, that it starts a campaign, okay? So this. So here I have a shopping borrower campaign. If I want this shopping borrower campaign to be triggered for all of my folks that are still pre-approved in shopping, I can do that, okay? So here's my fun little campaign, right? I've got home inspections. I've got some tasks back to me to make sure that I'm following up with them, right? And here, what I can do to my pre-approval that ends at 120 days. Why are we ending it at 120-day campaign? Because that's usually when a pre-approval expires, okay? So for this one here, if you so desired, you could add in a step, okay? So I'm gonna come over here. That one is owned by somebody else. So let me find one that I can update. I'll just do this one for now. So I would come down here to the bottom and I would click add new step. And then here, if you wanted, when they reach that 120 days, you can move them into a whole new group. You can move them out of pre-approved, right? Once it hits 120 days. So I will update my field again. Come on down here. Remove group. So I'm going to update this here to remove the group at the end of 120 days. So this would start on day 121. So anybody who was in that pre-approved group, I would remove them on 121 days. Now then I could keep going, right? Let's make this real efficient. And I'm going to add an additional step where I could put them in a whole new group, perhaps called stale pre-approvals, right? So you would go back into that group management, add in that group called stale pre-approval, come into your marketing campaign, and we're going to update the field. So same rules or same workflow, add stale pre-approval.
Your call is very important to us. If you know your party's extension...
Friends, can you please be sure that you are muted? I am hearing some phone calls. All right. So I would come down here and I would find my stale pre-approval group. And I would add in that I want that added at day 120. The next day it would remove the other. You add your step. And so now that we've added them to that stale pre-approval, right, we can go in and create a whole campaign for the stale pre-approvals, right? So the moment that it hits 120 days, you could have a whole new campaign flowing for them, which could look like tasks to you, right? If you want to create that, we would add a campaign, stale pre-approvals. And this one, I'm only going to want to have this start once per client. This rule here, if you have somebody in your records many times and they have the same email many times, you're going to want to make sure this is on yes. If you want to exclude weekends, you would put this on yes. If not, you would mark it no. You click your add campaign here. And that's where you can start adding different things. So first things what I would do is I would add task to myself. That would say I'm pre-approval expired. Select your time. And I want this to happen also on day 120. Add myself a fun little note. Record is stale pre-approval group after shopping for 120 days and no conversion, right? I didn't spell anything correct there. That was some fast typing. All right. Now, if you want to make your life easier, you can use your meta tags in here. So if you get this task while you're out and about, or you see it on there, you can add in the details that you want to have on there. You can link the borrower's record by putting that in here. I recommend that to definitely be added. If you want to be able to see their cell phone or their agent information, you can use these meta tags to pull in that data so that when you get that task assigned to you, you have everything you need to follow up. You say, oh, their pre-approval expired. I need to follow up with the agent. I need to follow up with them, see what the status is, all those things that you can do. Now you can put in their cell phone. Come in here and find your buying agent. And now you've got your task set up for your pre-approval expired. Oh, I put that in it should be day 1 because it would trigger on 120 days. So sorry. So I can make this rule be when the group stale pre-approval is added as the trigger, okay? Now, and I can add in future emails if I want to follow up and say, hey, we've got your pre-approval follow-up. We need to get you reapproved. I'm not going to create a whole campaign with you guys watching, but you can add in whatever content you want here. You can use your meta tags if you want to pull in information specific to the buying agent or anything that they've added. Certainly do that, but you can create a whole entire campaign for those folks that are stale and pre-approved, right? You can add in SMS, whatever it is that you want to do here. You've got a task to yourself saying that this person was added as stale, then you've got an email going out to them saying we need to get you reapproved. If you want to add in communication to the agent, you can do that here as well. You would create that email and then just add the loan participant as the sent to who you're sending it to, and create buying agent, and then find that buying agent's first name in here and the meta tags. Here's my buying agent partner first name. I just wanted to let you know you can add in the client's name so that you don't have to worry. So we do client name combined full has expired and we need to reapprove, or whatever it is that you would want to say here. You get the gist of what I'm saying. Expired pre-approval. Yes, automatic, and I want that to go out as soon as they are put in that stale approval, or whenever it is that you want it. You can add text, you can do all those things, but as you can see now, you now have a campaign for this. And you can trigger that by the group. Okay, so if you want to do the same quick setup and use the groups there as one of the prompts, or you can manually set up these triggers yourself. So you add your trigger here. My new mortgage trigger would be when the group equals, where's my stale pre-approvals? There she is. And then to remove it, when they're no longer in that group, it would stop that campaign. So now I have a whole system set up for my folks that when they get through the 120 days, I will get notified, I will get a task, the buying agent gets a task, and the buyer will start a new campaign that is kind of re-engaging them. And you can make that be whatever it is that you want. But this is just that workflow and what it would look like. Now, if you don't have your automation set up or your LOS integrated, it's relatively the same type of rule. I would just be manually adding those groups to kind of kick that off. So I would have to come in here to Julian Becker here and put him in that pre-approved group as soon as he's pre-approved, and then the system would take over from there. So I would pull him into pre-approved, and then that campaign would then start as soon as he pre-approved. He'd hit that 120 day, it would update to stale approval, and it would start in the stale approval campaign. Okay. So there's both ways that you can do it, integrated and not integrated. Okay. So there's that. The other folks that I want to talk to you guys about is our rate watchers, right? Everybody thinks the bubble's going to burst tomorrow, or they've watched too much TV of folks that don't actually know what's happening, or they're scared, or whatever the reason is. But we have a lot of people that are watching rates. And there's a few things that you can do to help that, right? You can give them a group called Rate Watch, right? If somebody is not really ready to move forward, you can do the same type of thing, right? I've already got myself a little Rate Watch group that I've created. And I've mentioned this before, you guys, don't be afraid to explore your content exchange under your main marketing menu tab here. And in there, under BNTouch content, you're going to come down here and you're going to find this if you'd like. We do have a weekly market update that is created by us and integrated with bank rates, average, 30-year, 15-year, and 5-year. Okay, we don't push the 5-year out there, but the 30 and 15-year, we have a campaign called the BNTouch Weekly Market Update. Okay, and for those folks who are watching rates, this is a very lovely branded click through almost video like image that you can set up for yourself. And this is already in the platform here, but if you didn't have this in your platform, you would click to add it to your platform here. I've already copied it, so mine is showing that it's still there. Okay. Now, if you like it, if you decide you like it or don't like it, you could, I don't know if I've updated the name of this. There she is. So you could come into here, right? And I can update the triggers for this one. As you can see here, if the group equals Rate Watch, it's going to add them to this campaign, and it's now going to send weekly branded information to you that's very high level, that they are opting into. It's not going to be overwhelming, and it's going to keep you in front of them, right? Bank rate is where we do. My connection is not perfect. Please ask. Yes, I will. We will absolutely. It's being recorded in the top right. And then to answer the question regarding more market update, we get that from bank rate. All right, now, no problem. You guys might be looking at this going, what is this? This is how you add a removal rule if you want to have more than one removal rule, right? As I borrower first name equals something it will never be, just so that I can add in the removal tool. So don't be alarmed by that. But this is exactly how you would set up that Rate Watch. You would make it so that the group contains Rate Watch and they're added to it. Now, you can create another rule, right, to remove them from Rate Watch once they go into processing, similar to our pre-approved rule, right? So if I go create a campaign and I want to say remove Rate Watch, get my guardrails good, because this is just a rule. Now I'm going to come in here, update field, remove Rate Watch. Now you can do this a couple different ways. You can, I'll show you, oopsies. There you go. There she is. Now you say, when would I do that? Well, there's a couple different ways that you can do it. You can do it when it gets to that particular milestone in processing, right? or you can do it when it's moved to the marketing sequence, depending again how your platform is set up. If you had it integrated, you can go through those quick steps and align it to the in-processing milestone, or you can set it up to be for the marketing sequence in processing, which is just those different views in your pipeline. We call them marketing sequences. So I'll show you what I mean. I can come in here and say, I want to remove that rate watch when their marketing sequence is in processing. So I know they're not going to be disturbed by whatever the average rate is while they're in process, because the last thing you want to have happen is you get somebody locked in and then they say, oh, the rate watch, it said that the rates are better than this. We don't want that to happen. So if you decide you want to create that rule, marketing sequence equals in processing, you go okie dokie. And this is now ready to rock. So anytime somebody is added in processing, you can have it so that it's removed, right? Or, now I hate to or you to death, but here we are. I can come back into my rate watch. Oh, not this one. Where's my weekly? Now we're back to that point that I was telling you about where I added the rule here. So there's two different ways that you can set up removals, right? You can create a whole entire campaign on its own, or you can create a separate trigger from within that campaign so that this can stop when it moves into processing, right? But this one is not going to remove it for you. So if you decide to do it this way, it will not remove that group. If you start your own campaign, it will there. Cool? All right. The other, there's a couple more that I want to show you as far as groups, but I'm gonna jump ship over to partners. Actually, no, I'm lying. I'm going to show you guys how to utilize that rate watch group in a different way. So oftentimes we are having folks on the front end who are watching those rates. The kind of third thing you can do to that rate watch group is you can put on credit alert monitoring for those folks and see if they decide to shop, right? We do have in our platform the credit pull alerts, okay? And you can do it for your whole database, or you can just do it for a subset of records. You could do that for those in your rate watch group, right? So if I come over to my options, I'm going to pop over here. Here. Can you guys still see my screen? Somebody type yes, por favor. Thank you. All right, so admins have access to the different modules, right? So if you're not an admin, you won't necessarily see this. So in my credit alerts, when I'm activating it, as you can see, you can have it on for all mortgage records, or you can delineate it by group. So if I wanted to turn this on for my rate watch folks, I can do that, right? If I want to only be able to focus on these particular people, I don't care about my past clients, I just want to have it for them, you certainly can. You could come in here, turn on that module, activate it, and then it will monitor the folks that are in there, and it would save you some money versus having to do it for the whole database. But this will let you know if any of those folks that are in your rate watch are cheating on you or shopping you or anything like that. Now we can apply the same rule to past clients, right? Go into your post-funded campaign, add a rule at the beginning of it. Day one, add to group past clients, right? Then you can come in here and I could, and if I wanted to include the past clients one as well, I could monitor just my past clients and those in rate watch. And that would let me know if my past clients are cheating and or these people that have reached out to me or been referred to me are checking with another lender. Now, nowadays, nobody wants to talk to human beings, right? We've got our Gen X and millennials, right, who aren't interested in talking to anybody on the phone. So despite those calls, we might get some people who are rate shopping. Yes, you can have them in multiple groups. Yes, you can. Absolutely. There's no issue why you couldn't do that. Mortgage superheroes. I hope that that's my friend that used to be one of my people. So yes, you can have people in multiple groups. If you choose to use your credit pull for those, there's so many more fun workflows that we can do for this. But that's another really fun way of staying on top of your folks to make sure that you're not getting outsold or beaten simply because you weren't aware that's what they were doing. Okay, so one fun way to do it. Another thing you can do is, now if you know this already, pardon me, but you have two different ways you can search, right? You can search here in your pick a search, which is such a robust information that you can pull from all the different fields and the different data, which is awesome. But then we have this one that is just a high level search. It's not focused on creating a list for you. It's just to find a contact record and quickly access that record. If you haven't spent time in your pick a search, you're gonna want to. And from here, you can create different groups. Let's say I wanted to find somebody who was all of my purchases, right? And the rate was between 6 and 10. I could, right, do a quick search and save that as a list or save it as a group. Okay, so you can certainly do that. Okay. I don't have real contact records in this one, so you're not going to be able to see that there. You can also do things like, I want to find all of my VA folks and I want to put them all into a group called VA, right? You can create a rule that says when your loan type equals VA, add to group VA. When group VA is added, start VA campaign to try and get them to refi with all the benefits about refinancing, using your benefits, et cetera, right? Some other fun use cases you can find, as you can find your LTV, right? So if I wanted to find some folks in here that's LTV was between 80, whoopsies, and 100, right? Do a little searchy search. And here I have some folks that are between 80 and 100. Now I could say, okay, well, these folks have MI. Maybe I need to remove folks who don't that have a VA loan, right? Because they could be VA loans. So I want to make sure that it's specific. So I would come in here and say it's not equal to VA. And now I have this cool group, right? I have people that I can easily go, I'm going to move these records and add all of these people to my LTV plus 80 group, right? I can remove from all groups or leave them in whatever other groups they're in. And I would then move those records that are LTV higher than 80 to that group. Or you can set up a campaign that says, add to group. And then I would come in here and, oopsie, that was a lie. Come into my trigger, create a mortgage trigger. And I'm going to say, when marketing sequence equals funded, because I want this just to be for my funded loans. And type, see, does not equal VA. And my LTV is greater than 80, right? Make it public. And now you have a rule that's going to do it for you. And it's going to put people in those groups, right? So that you can easily find them. So there's 6.5 dozen other ways that you can find the data. But if you're looking to create some sort of system in your platform, which I recommend, these are some different ways that you can do it, whichever works best for you or whatever resonates. Here. Okay, the last thing that I am going to show you is with respects to partners. Now, I know some folks use the core, some folks use hot, warm, cold, some folks have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They're all calling different people. But to make your life simple, I created a couple different groups: weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually, right? So you might have people, your partners, in different buckets. Your pipeline view here, right? This is your pipeline view. And then you've got your business card collected, your strangers, your interested folks who you've engaged with or know you but haven't sent you deals yet, active people who have but not all the deals, and then your preferred people are the ones who send you everything. And then if you want to have a further delineation beyond that, you can have your VIPs, right? You can even have your whales if you're trying to hit some of these big folks and you're using production data. So everybody is doing different things with their partners. And the best way that I would recommend monitoring those or managing those folks is groups, right? And you can create, right? For those who are still learning, your pipeline view is your middle squiggle on the right, and your groups are the stacks of paper. Okay, so you see my mouse here on the right-hand side, I can toggle between the two. And when I do, your sub menu changes from being your pipeline view, where it's got your business card collected and interested, and then back over to your groups. Now, I mentioned that we could create different groups. Now, I have annual calls in here. I have monthly calls in here, right? Now, let's say I'm going to my partner records pipeline view because I haven't assigned anybody to any of these groups, okay? So let's say I'm Harper Harrington, or that's a lie, I don't want to use Harper Harrington. Let's say Layla Morrison down here is a heavy hitter, okay? And let's say that you want to follow up with her an awful lot, and you don't want to rely upon constantly snoozing a reminder. That's fine, right? Come into her partner record, okay? And you're going to find that group. And let's say you want to follow up with her on a monthly basis, okay? Monthly calls. Cool. You add them to that record. You go, what is that going to do? Well, not much if you don't build something behind it. What I mean by that is I would come in here to my marketing campaigns, add a new campaign, monthly tasks, remove my guardrails because it's a task, not an email. Then you are in your campaign. And here's where I'm going to add in that task. The task is going to be for moi. And we're going to say follow up on, you can put your meta tag in here so it shows their name. Okay. And then again, you can add in whatever meta tags that you want to add in here. And you can add in their phone number so that you can see this wherever you want to. Set your task. Yes, I want it to be sent automatically. And we're going to say every 30 days because this is your monthly reminder. And then here is your recurring step. Okay. So now every 30 days, you're going to get a reminder. Now, if you want that to happen until forever, leave this as 0. If you want to try every 30 days for a year, you can make that 12. Okay. You update that step. Now, if you say, after 30 days, Monica, can I update it to be quarterly? Sure, let's do that. We can add a step in. And we can come in here and we can say aesthetic. We're going to remove the group monthly. Where's my monthly calls? and I want that to change after a year to just be quarterly calls. So I'm going to remove them from the group at 365 days. And then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to add them to the group. Then I add them to quarterly on day 366. And so now, after a year of trying, it's just going to automatically convert them to quarterly calls. So now I can create a campaign for quarterly calls to follow up every 90 days. And then maybe you could have that one at the end of it, remove that group, move them to annual calls. So you can make them progressive so that somebody who you maybe thought was a weekly call after 90 days, move it to bi-weekly. Have that one go for another 90 days. Then do monthly for a year. And then once you hit that year, have it go to quarterly. Then when you do quarterly, annually, right? So you can add those steps at the bottom to remove the groups and add back where they should be now. Does that make sense? Yes, fingers crossed. Awesome. So my suggestion, if that's something that you want to implement, you absolutely can do that. If you want to do it a different kind of way, let's say I want to come into my partners and I want to make Miles Gibson, and I let's say that I want anybody who is hot, warm, or cold. You can definitely you probably have statuses here, right? So you can make it so that if you put them in hot, warm, or cold, that status is always going to be weekly, right? So come over to my campaign. If I want to say anybody that I mark as a hot lead, I'm going to add my new step here, and I'm going to update my field, and I'm going to say add to group weekly. So let's say I want it to automate that way, where I'm putting anybody that is marked as a hot status, right, as your partner, is going to be added to the weekly calls. Okay. Group. And then when they're added to the weekly call group, it will trigger the campaign that's going to remind you every week. Okay. So now when you go to that status and you put them in that hot status, it will move them to the weekly call group. And then from there, if you've set up your progressions, after however long you try to call every week, it would push it to bi-weekly, then monthly, then quarterly, then annually. And this way, no borrower or partner gets left untouched, right? You can do the same rule for your clients, right? So if you want to be able to put your clients in different hot, warm status, right? You can do that, or you can simply manually add them to the different groups, depending on how often you want to follow up with them. Every borrower has different things happening. So I often see people manually doing that so that they can go in and just say, well, I'm changing this person from this group to that group, right? Something to remember that simply because you change the group, if you add a group, you're going to want to, if you're not removing it, you're going to want to remember to remove it. If you don't add in the removal of the group, you're going to want to make sure that you are manually doing that. Okay. Final thing I want to show you guys with respect to web forms, okay? You can access co-branded within your partner portals for those different like registration forms to get the QR code. People come to the open houses or whatever event that you're having or co-hosting, you can do that. You can also do it in your web forms. Your web forms are great if you've got a website and you want to build some different landing pages. Get yourself a website if you don't have one, but oftentimes you have different product types on your website where you want to create a video or more information and have push people to that landing page. And then if they want more information, they fill out a form. Okay, we can create those forms, which is what you're looking at here. Okay. So when you add a form, it can be mortgage, partners, recruiting, right? But you do have to pick one. But then you can choose a group. So let's say that you're hosting a golf scrambler and you want to be able to capture the attendees. You can put them in their own group, which you guessed it, pushes them into their own campaign. So somebody signs in or registers or whatever it is. They arrive, they put their information in. It would be captured, pushed into your system. The group added as a golf scrambler attendee, which could then start a campaign. Okay, thanks for coming. It was great to see you. I'd love to set up a time to chat. Put your little Calendly link in there. I'd love to grab coffee. It's on me. Whatever it is that you would want to have happen. And then that can trickle into a longer nurture campaign. You can build some tasks in there to make sure you're following up about that specific event. Okay, so let's say I'm going to call this my golf scrambler. I want everybody here to be added to the lead marketing sequence. Submit. Now, if you want to turn on Captcha, you can. You would just put your domain here and turn this into enabled. Okay? You can also have it redirect to your URL. These elements are the different things that you're asking people to add. So we could add in first name, last name. I don't know why first name didn't like that, but okay. You can drag and drop them. You can change how they ask the question, but these are the fields that they will map to. So like if you wanted to change it to what's your first name? And then you can add in cell phone, email. Now it does ask them to opt into the cell phone. So I wouldn't make it required because some people hate to do that. But I would at the very least make the email required. These boxes here are the required ones, right? You can change your template. So if I want to change to this one, I can do that. And then when I'm done, I always recommend clicking on the link to see what she looks like. Oh, it's mad at me. So sorry. And then I've got my golf scrambler. Now, there's a few things you can do with that. You can use the URL code to create a QR code. So you click on that URL here, and if you want to just post a QR code for people to scan as they enter, cool. You click on that link, and then you can right click and hit create QR code for this page on any URL, on any browser. I'm assuming if you all use Google. But this create code for this page, I click that. Now I've got my cool little QR code. I hit download, and I can put that on a flyer. I can put it on an iPad and say scan here to register or whatever it is that you want. Okay, so now I'm going to put my information in here, and I'm going to opt in, hit submit. Says thank you, pushes me back. Now when I come over here to my mortgages, here I am. I was added here, right? Now you can see I was added as the Golf Scrambler attendee as the group here. And if I had a campaign built for my Golf Scrambler attendees, you can bet that would have been the trigger and it would have started right away. Make sense? I'm assuming your silence is yes. All right, my friends, that's what I had for you today. This has been recorded, so you will get a copy. Last time my recording didn't work, so I'm super sorry about that. But we believe we've got it all figured out now. We have a service called the White Glove service, where our team that has between us, probably 50 years of mortgage experience in setting up systems. I was a loan officer and a sales coach, so that's where I come from. And my partners have been in the real estate world his entire life as well. So our team can actually build these up, get to know you, and whether it's just you or your team, and build a system that works how you guys work, and to make sure that you're staying in front of your partners, your clients, and anybody that you would want to. And if you have a desire to learn more about that, I am adding in the link to my calendar to set up a time. But if you don't have any other questions, I thank you all for joining us here today. It was lovely to see you all here. Hello, Ella. It's lovely to see you on. And I will see you, just confirming last time I did not. Yes, as I mentioned, it didn't record last time, so we did get it recorded this time. Yes, as I mentioned, we are recording it, and at the you will receive a copy of it this time. Last time the recording didn't work, so I do apologize. Um, Thank you all for joining, and if there's anything that you guys need or quick questions you might have for me, you can find me at the email address I am dropping in the chat. And if there's anything else, I will see you on the next one. Wonderful to see you all. Have a great week, and we will see you in May.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends.